Natural bug repeller by pleasing the cow. Recent admissions challenge for vets. Will she walk? CFC Lab May 2007 challenge for vets. Doctors Lavanya and Singh commencing the 3-hour-long operation as many of the bones had become embedded within the uterus. Removal took great effort. On April 5, Devaki had her second operation performed at CFC by 2 specialist veterinarians. The remains of her dead unborn calf had been festering in her womb for possibly a year by the time she was brought into CFC a few months back. Doctors had attempted to remove the remains by various manual methods over the months but to no avail. Much of the calf's skeletal remains were stuck inside, fixed within a thick layer in the uterus. The surgery was quite a challenge for the doctors and its undertaking proved to be difficult and grueling. During the 3-hour operation the skeleton of the dead calf was successfully removed piece by piece. Devaki remained CFC carer's comfort. Devaki during the surgery. Dr. Singh tries to pull the bones out assisted by Dr. Lavanya pushing through the other side. Closing after successful removal of all the bones. Washing up after surgery. Stable throughout. When at last the doctors were confident they had emptied all the contents out, she was prepared for closing, which took time as the doctors had to suture many different layers. Devaki sat up after the operation and remained under close supervision the remainder of the day, until Dr. Lavanya returned in the afternoon to continue with her post-operative care. Thereafter Devaki was attended around the clock over the following weeks by Dr. Lavanya and CFC carers. She had one setback after another for the first 10 days, and she did not pick up eating at all. Drips, banana lassis and green grass that she was hand-fed sustained her during that time. Surgical fluid. Devaki resting after the grueling 3-hour-long operation. Over 100 bones were removed from the uterus, the remains of Devaki's unborn calf. Devaki in post-operative care. Day 10, sutures are removed. Continued to collect around the wound and was drained on a daily basis by Dr. Lavanya. Consequently the suture line partially opened and had to be resutured. Then she seemed to be over the hump, her appetite reappeared and her eating and drinking increased. There were no signs of infection internally or in the wound. She even went out of the sick bay for a walk around, and she looked much brighter. However, within a few days she took a turn for the worst, and on the 15th day after the surgery she suddenly passed away. It was hoped that the surgery would give her a chance at a normal life, but she could not cope with the surgical stress. She is sadly missed by all who cared for her. Rohini Today. Asvini Today. On arrival 2006. Rohini Asvini being groomed by her mom. Rohini worship of the cow is accomplished by gently scratching, offering green grass and by circumambulating. By pleasing the cow, Sri Gopal is also pleased. Gautamiya Tantra. The first part of the above verse defines what constitutes worship of the cow. 1. Gentle scratching. Attentive Gosevaks have discovered that cows like being scratched at the base of their horns, along the top and underside of their neck, all along the spine to the root of the tail, the pits where their rear legs join the torso and inside their ears. Some think that cows associate brushing with the affectionate licking they naturally get from their mother, and this explains why they are most pleased to receive it. Actually, when cows are scratched or groomed, many become so euphoric they may even stop eating or lose their by pleasing the cow. Balance. Cows will compete to receive affectionate caresses, and we have seen that gentle scratching boosts their self-esteem and if seriously injured or ill, inspires their desire to live. Gentle scratching pleases cows, and pleasing them constitutes worship. From this it is understood that practically any wholesome activity that pleases them can be considered worship. 2. Offering green grass. Offering green grass of course means feeding them fresh grass, but the implication is that they should be taken out for grazing. They should have ample time for wandering as they like and nibbling a bit of this and that. They instinctively know what herbs and grasses they require to maintain good health. One should not think that keeping cows tied up 24 hours a day and feeding them fresh grass constitutes worship. Cows have been born with 4 legs for a good reason. It does not please them to be tied to a 3-foot rope, so they only have the option to sit or stand. They like to walk, spar, scourge the earth and occasionally run and jump. If taking them out for grazing is not possible, then the next best thing is that after they are fed, they should be offered a place to roam free, engage in recreation or sit in a clean place and ruminate. 3. Circumambulating. It is said in the Hari Bhakti Sudhodaya, a person who circumambulates the deity of Vishnu can counteract the circumambulation of repeated birth and death in this material world. This means that clockwise circumambulation nullifies the accumulated karma that keeps one bound to the cycle of birth and death. Circumambulation demonstrates respect for the object kept on the right and purifies the performer. In the Vedic culture, elders, the king, saintly persons, cows, tulasi, sacred basil, deities, temples, and holy places are respected and honored by circumambulation. Since the scriptures mention that Vishnu, Brahma, Shiva, and many other divine beings as well as the sacred river Ganges and all holy tirthas reside in the body of the cow, it is understood that the benefits of circumambulating Vishnu are to be obtained by circumambulating the cow. So circumambulation is considered worship. The second part of the verse defines the result of worshipping or pleasing the cow. Sri Gopal is pleased. From this we can deduce that the opposite is also true. If the cows are not pleased, Sri Gopal is not either. This underscores the importance Sri Gopal gives to how cows are treated and clearly indicates his intimate connection with them. Actually, the cows are Sri Gopal's deity. They are the worshipable Lord of the Supreme Lord. The cows are so dear to Gopal that treating them properly and making them happy actually constitutes worship of himself. He tells Uddhava, I can be worshipped within the cows by offerings of grass, and children sing and circumambulate a calf, other suitable grains and paraphernalia for the pleasure and health of the cows. S.B.11.11.43, the simple formula is that offering things which enhance the pleasure and health of the cows actually constitute worship of the Supreme Lord. We often hear that the cow is sattvic. Sattvic qualities include peacefulness, purity, cleanliness, and simplicity, and these are quite easy to detect in the cow. Cows are simple and fortunately quite easy to please. By offering them fresh water, grass, suitable grains, ghee, and a clean place to sit, they can be quite satisfied. And by this simple process, Sri Gopal, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is pleased. Srimad Bhagavatam declares that the highest perfection one can achieve is Hari Tashanam, or pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, S.B.1.2.13. And for one who has accomplished that, there is nothing left to be achieved. Furthermore, the Supreme Lord promises, one cannot appreciate or understand me without pleasing me, but one who has seen or pleased me has nothing more for which to lament for his own satisfaction. S.B.7.9.53, below are sad cows. Contrast them with the happy cows to the right. Make cows happy. Sri Gopal will be happy and you will be happy. Will she walk? Kamili has a unique style of getting around. Her front legs are perfectly normal, but neither of her back legs bend, they are both locked straight. Consequently, she cannot walk unassisted and can stand alone only for short periods of time until she loses her balance and plops down on mattresses laid around to catch her fall. To aid her in walking, the CFC carers manually raise her back section, hooves just above the ground, and using her front legs she shoots off like a rocket, taking her carer on a wild tour of the CFC compound. Doctors suspect Kamili has permanent upward displacement of the patella, which may have been inherited as she seems to have been born with the condition. As reported earlier this year, an attempt was made to relax the tendons by setting both her back legs bent in casts for 2 weeks, but it was not successful. So Kamili was taken to Mathura Veterinary Hospital for X-rays and a checkup last month. From the X-rays, doctors were able to confirm that the bone structure in both back legs are normal, and suspect the cause of the patella, knee, being raised, and therefore locking the limb, is due to a loose tendon wrapped in a loop around muscle which overextends the leg and fixes it from moving. A number of procedures were discussed by the doctors and further investigation through surgery was proposed. Dr. Lavanya performed the first simple operation on site at CFC, cutting one of the tendons, but it was not successful in freeing the patella. In May, Kamili will go for her next surgery at the Mathura Hospital, to be performed by Dr. Pandey. Meanwhile her leg has healed from the first operation and she is spending her time relaxing, never far away from her best friend Kala Krishna. Dr. Pandey and students X-rays Camille's back legs. Dr. Lavanya tries a small risk-free operation, cutting a tendon in one of Camille's back legs. Surgery is over in 10 minutes. Suturing closed. Drive. Lavanya views the X-rays. Dr. Pandey and Dr. Lavanya examine Camille. Camille relaxing beside Kala Krishna. One of our outpatients last month was Giriraj, who had lost his leg in a mishap in a Radhakund dairy. After treatment he returned to Radhakund but developed a bacterial infection causing severe diarrhea and an abscess on his left shoulder. He developed a high fever and stopped eating, so he was brought back for further treatment. He stayed with us and despite all attempts to restore his health, he left us 5 days later. Raimavati, below, is a female calf who was found near a tea stall in downtown Vrindavan. She was so weak she couldn't stand up and was surviving on scraps offered by the customers of the tea stall. One of our cowherd men. Recent admissions. Little Giriraj. Giriraj suffers no more. Witnessed the tea vendor throwing the used tea leaves on her in the hope she would run off, but she was too weak. She had no choice but to tolerate. Our cowherd man brought her to Care for Cows, where she is getting stronger. After a good meal she was given a good scrubbing to get the tea stains off her coat. To purchase the required medical necessities, Sudevi from Radhakund took pity on Laxmi and moved her to Radhakund and began treating her. Laxmi requires extensive care, and if her wound does Raimavati getting scrubbed. Laxmi, above right, was hit by a vehicle and suffered a multiple fracture in her right rear leg. She was taken to the Mathura hospital but was abandoned by her owner after he refused Laxmi getting her wound dressed. Not meant soon, she may require an amputation. She is now under the care of Dr. Lavanya. At present we are dressing her wound daily and trying to restore her strength. We are hopeful she will survive. Kamal Lakan, above, is a bull calf who was living in the streets of Govardhana and had his Kamal Lakan with his ears bandaged, ears mangled by dogs. Though most of the wounds are superficial and are healing fast, he has a deep puncture in one ear and it is being attended to. He has a good appetite and should improve quickly. Syamala, right, is a cow who had suffered a face injury years ago. She was saved by Sudevi but since then slipped and broke her pelvis in 2 parts. She is recumbent and must be kept in a sand bed to avoid pressure sores. She can change sides on her own but with difficulty. She is dominant by nature, very intelligent and has a beautiful dark velvety coat. Rear view of Kamal Lakan's ears. Subal, left, is a bull calf who was found starving on the streets of Radhakund. He is so weak that he falls over if pushed by another calf. He has a good appetite and should get stronger soon. Subal blind outpatient calf. In April an unusual outpatient was brought into CFC for treatment, an 8-day-old calf apparently blind in both eyes. Dr. Lavanya treated the patient with a delicate injection of antibiotic and anti-inflammatory mix, administered through a fine needle directly into the eyelid membrane. An eye ointment was then applied over both eyes and good results were expected within 10 days. The newborn calf then returned home. After a few days the calf's owner reported that already one eye was 80% cleared, the other 50%, and the calf was able to see. It is very possible he will make a full recovery. Natural bug repeller neem oil makes cows inhospitable to pests, so stop fleas, ticks, and other biting nasties in their tracks while conditioning your cow's hair at the same time. Neem oil bug repeller 10 ml neem oil 10 grams soap nut powder 1 L water. Add the soap nut powder to water and stir to dissolve. Strain the mixed solution through a fine cloth to separate larger particles. Pour neem oil into the solution and mix thoroughly. Transfer into a spray bottle and shake well before use. Alternatively, apply as a wash over the cow's coat with a sponge, and don't forget arm creases. Neem oil bug repeller may also be sprayed around the compound and bug breeding zones. To make the solution more broad spectrum, add essential oil like patchouli, lavender, or citronella to repel flies and mosquitoes. 8 drops per 1 liter. Caution, neem oil can be an irritant and should be used with care, especially on light-sensitive cows. Avoid application near eyes, udders, and other bare skin. Do not spray in the heat of the day. 1. Add soap nut powder to water and stir thoroughly until dissolved. 3. Mix neem oil to the solution, pour into a spray bottle and shake well. 2. Strain the mixed solution through fine cloth into another container. 4. Spray or wash solution over cow's coat. Make it your gift to the Bull LS Wall Fans Cool Summer Gift. $300 for 6 fans, includes installation. Contact KM Marupa at carefercows.org. Did you know? Sri Krishna's pet bull is named Padmagandha, which means lotus fragrance. Bulls of Vrindavan today also emanate a sweet fragrance from the center of their foreheads, which smells just like sugar candy. Encouraged by CFC well-wisher Dr. Lavanya, Dr. R.D. Agrawal, Professor and Head, Department of Parasitology, Mathura Veterinary University, recently paid a visit to CFC to offer practical advice on setting up CFC cow pathology lab. Dr. Agrawal is very learned and respected in his field, and said he was inspired by the nature of the charitable services performed at CFC, and heartily agreed to contribute his ongoing services free of charge. The doctor gave details on the necessary items required for pathology analysis, including equipment, chemicals, glassware, slides, etc., and other valuable setting up information. Majority of the purchases are underway, and once established, the CFC lab will offer free screening services for cows to the public, a first for Vrindavan. The lab is expected to open next month. CFC Laboratory. CFC Nand Kishore Das and Dr. Lavanya show Dr. Agrawal, right, around the CFC facility in the News Maharashtra. In December 2006, the Bombay High Court delivered an historic judgment for protection of cow progeny in Maharashtra, banning slaughtering of cow progeny aged under 16 years unless they were certified fit for slaughter by the municipal corporation. However, the same was stayed by the court 11 days later on the intervention by some Muslim groups. State Advocate General Ravi Kadam contended that the state wanted the interim order, banning slaughtering of male progeny aged under 16, to be vacated, on which further arguments would be heard. In January 2007, the state had sought implementation of a total ban on slaughter of cows and reconsidering the amendment of 1995 in the Maharashtra Animal Preservation Act. The amendment bans slaughtering of male progeny of cow aged under 16. However, since the same was not implemented, ultimately a public interest litigation, PIL, was filed by the Vinayak Parivar Trust before the High Court in 1998, and the interim order, upholding the amendment and directing its implementation, was passed after 8 years, on December 15, 2006. Shortly thereafter, Muslim organizations moved a notice of motion before the Bombay High Court and stay against the operation was granted. The state filed appeals and the stay continues to be in place, continually being extended, despite the Supreme Court's order to finally dispose of the matter by January 2007. This means it is being dragged on by the courts, and currently there is no new date fixed for another hearing, and it appears that there is a well-planned strategy to derail the whole matter. As a result, bulls, oxen, and male calves throughout Maharashtra are still being slaughtered in maximum numbers on a daily basis, and future hope to stop the slaughter is uncertain. Fight to stop the slaughter of bulls and oxen intervened by Muslims. INDIA. The cows send their heartfelt thanks to those who assisted during April 2007. Alessandra Petrassi, Italy. Alla Nikolaeva, USA. Amit Tulani, India. Ananda Dasa, Guatemala. Anata and Gungamai, India. Annie Duchan, NZ. Anonymous, Singapore. David Humphrey, UK. David Kazanow, USA. Dina Sarana Dasa, USA. Dhruva Maharaja Dasa, India. Eric and from, USA. Gauri Ambal, Singapore. Hayavalabha Dasa, India. Irmantas Emades, Lithuania. James Carvalho, USA. Kamadhu Dasi, Poland. Kapil Rastogi, USA. Karen Power, UK. Katyayani Dasi, USA. Ken Werrell, UK. Laxman Pujari, India. Madhukiran Rami Reddy, USA. Mandapa Dasa, Australia. Mariana Polonsky, USA. Michael Meshuris, USA. Neera Rishi, Canada. Padma Sambhava Dasa, NZ. Pradipta Chatterjee. Pranal Bharath, SA. Rachel Basarik, UK. Rakna Punjabi, Canada. Radha Karan, Krishna Mai, India. Radha Jivan Dasa, USA Radha Mohan Savak, India Radha Patti Dasa, India Rajeshwara Dwan Tom, USA Roma Punjabi, Swan. Angie. UK Svetlana Kravchenko, USA Swayam Prakash Krishnamurti, USA Tom Cotter, USA Uska Fitzpatrick, Australia Vananath Dasa, USA Vera Elizarova Vicky Moreland, USA Care for Cows in Vrindavana is inspired by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya International Society for Krishna Consciousness.